morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1Mby1M Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. We are approaching the holidays, and we are going to have the last roundtable for this year, last public roundtable for this year today. This is part of the 1Mby1M program. As you know, 1Mby1M is the first and only global virtual accelerator for technology startups in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we've been doing these free mentoring roundtables for years and years and years. We started back in 2008. And this is the 557th edition of the Mentoring Roundtable, the free ones. We do many, many, many in the premium program on top of these. So we have lots of experience engaging with entrepreneurs all around the world through this online platform. The event is being recorded. Every single recording is available on 1M1M Roundtable's YouTube channel. On Twitter, we're at 1Mby1M and at Stromana. Hashtag for today is 1M1M. These are the instructions for calling in. It is a roundtable, not a broadcast. We do have scheduled programming first, but we want you to listen to what you have to say. So please plan on participating. And also, while we're doing the scheduled session, by all means, use the public chat and the Q&A to ask questions, to engage, comment, whatever way you would like to weigh into the conversation. Today, we're going to start the session with a conversation with Eva Yazhari, General Partner at Beyond Capital Ventures. Welcome to the show, Eva. How are you?
Hi, Sarmana. Great to be here with you. Doing well, thank you.
Where are you dialing from, Eva?
I am dialing from Dallas, Texas.
Okay, terrific. Well, I am in Silicon Valley, Maureen is in New Jersey, and Tarek, who's going to be pitching later, is in Tunisia. So we do have a very diverse, geographically diverse presence here. Eva, let's start by introducing our audience to yourself and Beyond Capital Ventures. Tell us a bit about your background and what you're trying to do with Beyond Capital.
Sure, yeah. So my background is working on Wall Street. I worked in the hedge fund industry over 10 years ago and left with the intention to return to some family roots centered around living in Africa and working in Africa. And being more focused on emerging markets and the impact and returns that can be created in emerging markets. So what we do at Beyond Capital Ventures is we're a seed and Series A venture. We fund companies that are innovating around need to haves, led by what we call conscious leaders in India and East Africa. So we invest in 4 countries. We've got a diversified portfolio of businesses, which again have strong return potential and are for-profit businesses, but also have potential to generate impact. And this is we're kind of on our second fund, and we are rolling forward with starting our initial investment period. So that's what I'm focused on right now. And our kind of general investment thesis is really centered around the early stages and really making sure that founders get the capital that they need to be able to grow and scale.
Now, you started off by focusing on geography. Is that one of the key organizing principles of how you're thinking about investment?
Yes. Oh, yes, it is. I mean, for us, we are investing in 2 of the top 4 emerging markets destinations globally, and that is a strategic integration. And what we've realized is, while we work very hands-on with the companies in our portfolio, what we've realized is that there is a need for capital and products that are more diversified when it comes to investors, and that's why we've created this turnkey solution. But yes, I get asked all the time, would you invest in, Latin America? Would you invest in other parts of Asia? The answer is no. We've been an expert for the past decade, having built our first fund portfolio of 11 investments currently in these markets.
In Africa?
In East Africa and India, yes.
East Africa and India, okay. All right. And what is the size of the fund?
So we are raising 30 million.
And the previous fund was?
The previous fund was a smaller pool of capital. It was a pilot portfolio of about $1 million.
About?
1 million.
1 million. I see. So you're raising 30 million and you have
Correct.
so far deployed 1 million, okay?
Actually,
And,
so that's actually not true. I just want to make sure that the details are clear and correct. So we're raising 30 million. We've already raised a certain amount, but due to SEC regulation, I can't share that number on this call. But we have started to deploy already and started to invest, and we're very active in market.
The second fund. You've already started to deploy the second fund. Got it.
Correct.
Now, talk about maybe 3 or 4 of your portfolio companies to illustrate the way you think about investments, and specifically talk about how you found them. What did you see in them that made you write the check? What kind of check sizes are you writing?
Yes.
And what stage requirements do you have to feel like, okay, now we can write a check?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you kind of the narrative around one of our investments called Frontier Markets, which is a last mile distribution platform based in India, focused on particularly rural last mile and working with an agent network of female agents who can also provide access to last mile consumers and earn an income and improve their livelihoods as a part of being working with the company. The company started out actually distributing solar products and renewable energy products. In 2012, we had looked at many standalone solar lanterns, products that could get into a household, but it was really just a one product play. And we decided that we didn't want to take on that risk of one particular product and wanted to go out and find a distributor. We have over 100 sourcing and co-investment partners. And so through that network, we were able to find Ajay Shah, the CEO of Frontier Markets, and got to know her and her company for their seed round. Of course, we always look for some initial business traction. We're not really investing pre-revenue, it's really post-revenue. We look for kind of an early validation of product and or the service, because we do invest in mostly services, but some product-oriented businesses. We look for validation that customers are willing to pay, or whether that's B2B or B2B2C or B2C directly. We do have kind of all those different types of businesses in our portfolio. And we look for some elements of strength of customer retention and engagement. And so this was, very early. We invested in the seed round of Frontier Markets, but I think it had one of these qualities. But primarily, what it also possessed was a very strong leader who we knew we could bet. And I joke that in this particular case, in every business, I do think is different. So it is hard sometimes to distill down the criteria to, specific bullet points. But I joke that I've never been in a room with Ajay where she hasn't walked out and somebody whispered in my ear, how can I get invested in her company? And so resource attraction is also very, very important. In that deal, it was in our first fund, so we wrote a smaller check than we are right now. Right now, our sweet spot is between 250,000 and 700,000 in seed, and then 400,000 and 1.1 million in Series A. So we will do follow-ons in this fund as well. One more example is Kasha. It's a women's health e-commerce platform in Africa. It's becoming Africa's leading femtech company. And we did also invest in the seed round for Kasha. And in addition to validating the market around lacking access to women's health, destigmatizing women's health products, and using technology in order to reach women to buy the things that they need every month, but also, soaps, lotions, candles, like other aspirational products. We really like the leader, and we believe that conscious leaders are the secret sauce to impact investing. meaning a leader who's thinking about all stakeholders. And Joanna Bichel, the CEO of Kasha, has really proven that being able to think not just about your customers and your shareholders, but also thinking about your employees and their well-being by thinking about the government, whom she has worked with in Rwanda extensively, as well as the community and in some cases the environment, and thinking about all stakeholders is a winning strategy for companies in emerging markets because there are so many external factors. It's not only a risk mitigation tool, which we think is really critical, but it's also a mindset that really helps companies unlock value in unique and authentic ways.
So you are investing post-revenue.
Yes.
What metrics or benchmarks are you using to gauge whether you can build a venture scale company based on whatever early revenue traction you see?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of our metrics, because we're a multi-sector fund, do relate to specific sectors.
Sure.
But often, we're looking at the like just kind of, the growth of average order value. We're looking at, let's say that's kind of more of a B2C sales company or B2B2C. If it's more of a services company, we're typically looking at just kind of like the growth of their contracts, the relationships that they have, the potential like booked contracts that they already have. So a lot of it is centered around the ability for the company to take what it's doing now and take that to scale. But it is tricky because if it's fintech, then obviously, and fintech is not just lending. I think that's kind of a view that some people have. It can also be savings, it can also be insurance, it can also be lending credits rather than capital. So just taking one metric of like average loan value or even repayment rate doesn't always exemplify, I think, what we need. So we're very bespoke in how we approach our due diligence and the metrics that we're creating. We do extensive work on the companies that we invest in with the hope that we're building a relationship for the future. And that we can also, through our reputation, help attract additional capital as well. And I know the conversations that you have on this topic center around, well, how can companies raise additional funding beyond the Series A raise as well? So we do focus on that when we're setting up our due diligence and the metrics that we're looking at, or metrics that we're looking to track post investment.
And so these two markets that you are interested in, India and Africa. India, we are quite big in. We've been right from the beginning. We played a big role in India's development as a startup nation, so to speak. Of late, we're seeing a lot of African companies come here, and I would say in the last couple of years, it's accelerated very significantly. We even have African companies in our premium program. So I guess the question that I have for you is, how do you synthesize the trends in Africa? And how do you synthesize the trends in India from your point of view, impact investment point of view? There is, of course, the whole Indian, tech sector investments that are not necessarily impact investments. There's just generally investments. I mean, it's high impact because India is coming up as a technology startup nation, and that's high impact in itself. We do a lot of work in that area. One of our big successes was Freshworks, which went public earlier this year. But from an impact investment point of view, how do you synthesize the trends, the state of the union, so to speak?
Yeah. So what I say today is, I think, really important that it's contextualized on December 16th, because I think that particularly in our markets, money is moving in really fast and it's changing the landscapes. So let's talk about Africa first. There's never been any more money invested in startups in 2021. It's now about $4 billion across the continent. Our focus is East Africa, to be clear. So it's Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda. But we do look at companies that are scaling across the continent from these regions or scaling into into our markets from other markets as well. What we are seeing, I think, that we're really excited about are two things: industries that have not been yet disrupted. So we are in the med supply industry. That was our first investment in Rwanda and Kenya and DRC. And that industry has very sleepy incumbents that, don't really think about how to innovate around what their customers, which are health clinics, hospitals, really need, and how to deliver what they need in a timely, affordable, and quality way. So there are a number of industries in East Africa at the moment that have not yet been disrupted. Then there's kind of, we know that mobile money was born in East Africa. We see a lot of, great fintech companies. And what we're seeing is kind of the next iteration of these businesses. One great company in our pipeline right now is not giving cash. They're giving credits to gig economy workers for things like petrol, for things like, repairs that they may need for their motorbikes, just for the general kind of needs that they have on a day-to-day basis, including also we're seeing a lot of wage advances as well. So these kind of credits are needed out there in the marketplace, and there are different ways of slicing through the fintech vertical. In India, we are very cautious. I would say that the deal flow is many. There are many deals out there, but we do think that there is, a lot of FOMO, for lack of a better term. I think that, the investment community probably needs to recognize fear of missing out as a part of its kind of day-to-day life. And we do try to stay away from, rounds where they have very, very high valuations, or where they are, let's say kind of me tooing other companies that maybe just have a moat around them. I mean, there are a lot of really incredible businesses that have been built. As you mentioned, you were invested in a company that went public recently. These companies, I think, have created and been able to absorb a lot of market share in a really unique time where they didn't have as much competition. And now the competition is starting to come in. So what we're very wary about are these kind of Me Too strategies. And then we're also wary of technologies that are not relevant in our markets and reaching low income consumers, whether it's, again, B2B2C or B2C, with innovations in our portfolio. We are really looking for authentic impact and true dedication to those lower income consumers. So it's very easy to come in with an idea and say, end-to-end technology. That's really not going to work for all of our markets. And so it really needs to be tech assisted models. And so we try to stay away from companies that, I see these all the time that say, I can do everything for the smallholder farmer through the smartphone, or I can do everything for the smallholder farmer through technology. There needs to be more human intervention, maybe an agent model wrapped around that.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, so my observation is that the higher end of the market is extremely active. I wouldn't say crowded because it is a very large market and a very large pool, but it's very active and there's a lot of competition. There is a lot of concept arbitrage. You can call it Me Too, but there is also, there have been very successful companies built by copying models from elsewhere and then innovating on top of that. So that's very happening extensively in what I call the global tech space, as well as the India-facing tech space. And then there is the B2C, higher-end B2C, where, there is this very large population of internet users that is quite affluent and is buying online, etc. Now, the market that you're talking about, let's say the bottom of the pyramid kind of market, is it as crowded? Is it as active from where you sit?
So our first fund focused more exclusively on the bottom of the pyramid, but we are in our second fund, we're increasingly, we raised the target income to be more lower kind of basic and emerging consumer oriented. So we are seeing the same level of activity that you are. I would say though, it's probably not as active as the higher end of the market. So for example, one of the Sharmana, one of the trends that we're observing is that there aren't enough deal leads out there. And so we're stepping up as a deal lead and pricing rounds because we have the track record of over a decade, the knowledge and the confidence and the tools to be able to do that. But that's maybe where there is actually a difference in the two markets that you pointed out.
Yeah, interesting. And when you look at Africa and when you look at India, what do you see as the stark difference? In both cases, you're looking at the bottom to mid-bottom of the pyramid. What are the differences?
Yeah, in terms of business model innovations, we actually don't always see that many differences. I think some of these
Mhm.
important innovations centered around, how to create a viable tech-assisted model really can span our geographies, which is why we, being multi kind of geographical, being, diversified across the geographies is, doable for us. The differences I think that we tend to see are how capital flows. So, the India market really well, and I'm glad that you're seeing more Africa deal flow in the accelerator, or Africa companies in the accelerator. We are just seeing that there are significantly less angels. There are significantly less, family offices or kind of corporate investment
Yeah.
entities
The
in
financial market
Africa.
is much less developed in Africa. There's no question. Indian market has come up a lot,
Yeah.
financing infrastructure-wise.
And
Absolutely.
then, there are, of course, some nuances. For example, in fintech, a company in Africa can initially start to lend off their balance sheet, depending on where they're based, whereas that is not something that is possible in India. So we do see some kind of nuances. And then we are seeing valuations, as we mentioned, kind of, the financial markets are at different stages. We are seeing that being reflected in valuations of businesses.
Yeah. So my observation is kind of in tune with what you're saying. I think Africa is probably a decade to 15 years behind the Indian market. We've worked a lot on the Indian market in the last 15 years and seen it evolve. And I think the one big difference is that the Indian market had this very large pool of technology professionals because of its services industry. So it was a faster growth.
Yes.
Africa doesn't have that basis to grow from. So I think Africa may not grow as quickly. On the other hand, the ubiquity of cell phones is at par, right? More or less. Africa and India both very,
Absolutely.
very highly mobile penetrated, which was not the case. India got its mobile penetration after Geo came into being. Before Geo, India didn't have that kind of penetration, but Africa and India both have very large penetration into the lower end of the market through mobile phones. So I think there will be, some adjustments, but it will take probably another decade for Africa to really, develop that kind of financial infrastructure, et cetera. But it's a very, very exciting time to be playing in Africa.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that it's more of a 5-year cycle rather than a decade. I think that COVID also really helped to accelerate some of these digital trends. I think that Africa is now being considered into the global capital markets as an opportunity for growth and yields from investors outside. And that, there are a couple of other factors that I think really relate to this maybe being a shorter development cycle. But it will start out in key markets, right? So Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, Ethiopia, Ghana, and then, expand from there.
Well, I hope you're right. I've just, some skepticism about how fast markets grow and the infrastructure develops. So, all right. Well, very nice to meet you, and I hope we can do some work together in the upcoming, decade, I guess. We have a long horizon of how we look at relationships. So good luck.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful to have had this conversation with you.
See you soon. Bye, Eva.
Bye.
Folks, we're going to go to the entrepreneur pitch session. I want to set some expectations. This is a safe working session. There is absolutely no need for you to be defensive or worried, or we're on your side. So we can discuss your challenges. What is it that you want to work on? What is it that is standing on your way, and strategize. And that's all there is to this discussion. Tarek, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. I
Okay.
discovered, by the way, using the Udemy courses. I bought the one about raising, bootstrap first, raise money later, and I bought the one about the solo entrepreneur. So yeah, that's how I discovered you.
Very good.
And okay, so yeah, my company is is a web platform of micro mentoring for between high school students and professionals, and creating an educational and career plan using game thinking to transform this boring activity to an enjoyable one. I'm now working
And
on
you are based in Tunisia, yeah?
yeah, I'm based in Tunisia, but this company will be oriented for the US market, for international students and the US market as a virtual company.
And do you have knowledge of the US market? I mean, to create a micro mentoring platform for the US market, you need some understanding of the US market. Have you lived in the US? Do you have, what is the?
If you can skip back to the first slide, I can talk a bit about myself. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So my name is Tarek Mhiri. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I did my MBA in USA. I lived there for 4 years. I did my MBA and I worked in Bangi in agribusiness, and also did work in agribusiness here in Tunisia and in meat industries too. So, the funny fact about me is that I love cosplay, and my best one is the Pikachu cosplay. So, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, can go back. Go back. Yeah. So my company is very proposition is a micro mentoring platform with education career plan creation using game thinking to embark the user on a journey to achieve his goals using to transform this boring activity into an enjoyable one. I'm now working on an alpha version. I talked to my university already, to the director of recruitment, to get some students for feedback. I will have it by next week, the first kind of alpha version using a no-code tool. And here my contacts. So next slide, please. The target customers, they are for US universities, it's a new way to market for their education and to reach students that they don't usually reach. And for students, it's a way to learn about the mistakes of others, especially for studying, for finding internship, for work and stay, or finding another opportunity outside of US. You don't need to get out or leave quickly or
Tarek,
anything.
let me probe a little bit what you're thinking here. So,
Okay.
who is the ultimate customer? Are you're talking about US universities are competing for international students? That is an issue. So, are we solving the problem of the US universities looking for international students, and in that process, there is your micro mentoring service is a way to convince students in Africa to apply for US colleges? Is that the flow? Is that the solution?
Yeah, it's kind of a way to convince international students in Africa or in other countries to come to US, but also to share experiences between students and professionals, like alumni with others, but
Okay.
in a specific situation.
So then we
Yeah.
have to for this model to work, you're going to need to find I mean, let's take the example of Africa. You have to start somewhere, and I think it would make sense for you to start in Africa, just because that's what you have knowledge of. You would then need students or alumni of U.S. universities who are from these African nations who are willing to do some of these mentoring work on your platform, correct?
Yes and no. Like the problem like here about Africa is that people like we are not used to this. That's why like I tried to do it here in Tunisia, at least in some interviews with some customers, and they don't like believe in it or they don't want to do it. That's why I thought that maybe in the US it would be much more interesting to do it since I was there and I still kept connections there.
So I guess what I'm not understanding is, okay, why don't you complete your presentation and then I'll ask you more questions.
Okay. So how am I addressing this that pain? A platform for micro mentoring when you can match with people based on education, work experience, country of origin, and personality. And also there is a career tool where the user put his learning and goals and a plan to study, to work, find solution to stay in US or work abroad in a job that he likes, and when there is global need for it. Next slide, please. Customer acquisition, alumni network from my university, like Korea State and Kansas. Facebook groups dedicated to help students. There are many of them. And I talked already to the international director of recruitment of my university. And there's also an NGO that works with students, and they are willing to help me with this too. Next slide, please.
So your customers are universities in other countries that want to send their students to America? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's US universities that want a new way to market for themselves.
So your university is a US university?
Yeah, my university is a US university. I did my MBA in USA.
I see. So your US university wants to recruit students from Africa. That's what you are solving for.
Yeah, from Africa and from anywhere else, but they need
Other
international
international, other countries. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. So your customers are US universities. I go back to that fundamental question. Your customers are US universities, and okay.
Customer validation. I did already like in the past few months, like did the landing page interviews, talking to people, but there is already some I consider validation by if I find another company doing it, but I want to do it same thing in a similar way. So there is a company, it's called Cradle. It's a Kenyan startup, and they do summaries of the curriculum. And they do then comparing tuition and other stuff for Kenyan universities or for people that they want to study in Kenya. So I want to do the same thing in the US, but using micro mentoring, like with people sharing their experience from their universities or.
And who is going to do the mentoring in this pilot case? Let's say your university in the US wants to recruit from international countries. Who is going to do the actual mentoring?
First, it's micro mentoring, not it's mentoring. And second, it's the universities, some of the university like people that they choose, or some students, just like the students there, like they talk about their experience, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, what the activity that they want to do, this kind of stuff. Okay, and yeah, that's it. This is the question.
So your question is, what is the best strategy to acquire universities as customers knowing that they will be the main sources of revenue? The best way to acquire customers is to provide value, right? So I think you have to very clearly articulate how you're going to provide value. And that is not clear. In your presentation currently, that is not clear. So that's number one. I think, there is in the US at least, most universities have a dean of international students and an international office, as you know. I came to America as an international student, and these international student offices were very active in dealing with us. The question, however, is what is the workflow? Is international student recruitment happening in the Dean of International Students office or in the Dean of Admissions, or is it in the admissions office? And then when people come, they're passed on to so the thing that what I'm getting at is that which office within the university should you be selling to? Who owns the function of acquiring or recruiting international students? Which office? Is it the admissions office or is it the international students office? It's the first question that you need to figure out. And then if my guess is it's going to be the admissions office. And then in the admissions office, you have to find who is in charge of international student recruitment. That is the person that you're going to have to talk to, and you're going to have to identify, let's say 100 of those people in different universities and start talking to them about what their problems are and how they want you to develop this platform. What kind of a platform do they want, do they need to achieve their ends? I don't know whether international students are the best early adopters for this concept. If your goal is to go after the use case of universities acquiring international students, then you have to fulfill the other part of the bargain. If you want universities as customers, and who are trying to get international students, then you have to bring them international students. Otherwise, they're not going to give you money to do anything, right? Your next question is, in your opinion, how to transition from a micro-mentoring platform for international students and marketing for U.S. universities to get American students and create an enterprise solution for micro-mentoring career planning inside a company corporation? You don't need to worry about that. You have to first address one problem, solve that problem, build a business around that problem. Don't try to think about things you're going to do after you're successful. First things first, you need to be successful with one concept. You should try to understand how the premium program works. I will spend some time on that in a moment. One thing I also recommend is you may want to take a look at the two-sided marketplace, how to build a two-sided marketplace course on Udemy. Because in many ways, what could be very interesting is if you can create a two-sided marketplace with the universities on one end and the international students on the other end, and you create, value in the middle for which they all come and, start using your marketplace, your platform, your marketplace. If your platform is a marketplace of this kind of micro-mentoring, career planning services, that could be an interesting way to look at things. I don't know yet if that is the right answer for you. You should take a look at it so that we can have a real conversation on that topic. I will explain about your last question. I will explain in a moment. Is there anything else that you want to discuss right now?
No, thank you. You were very clear, yeah. And it was really very good insights. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. So, folks, for those of you who are listening, please spread the word about 1Mby1M if you like what we are doing. We do very, very intricate, detailed mentoring, and the courses, both the courses on our platform, courses on Udemy, everything is geared towards helping you become a much more sophisticated entrepreneur. If you like that approach of education, incubation, acceleration, please spread the word about this service. Everything is on 1Mby1M, 1Mby1M.com. You will find a free blog that is rich and abundantly available for free. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is one way of learning, the methodology, at least the starting point. These roundtables happen every week. You will learn a lot, and the recordings are all available. The premium program is our full acceleration program. You can come talk to me every week. Every week we have roundtables where you can come and discuss your issues with me. We provide you extensive methodology guidance. The whole curriculum of 1 million by 1 million is included in the premium program. We help you with business development. Our network is extensive and global. So where appropriate, we will help you access our network. Where we have the network, we will, give you access to that network. The strategy consulting, mentoring, coaching, whatever you call it, happens through these kinds of sessions, weekly sessions in the premium program. In the free mentoring, you can only come and actually pitch and have a discussion with me once. But in the premium program, you can come as many times as you want. You can come every week. When you're ready, we help you with financing. We help you get ready for financing also. And we help you with media relations. We have a tremendous amount of clout in the media. If you look at the self-assessment, it has the questions, the due diligence questions that VCs would ask you. Please ask yourselves these questions. The bootstrapping course is a free bootstrapping course to look at on the website. It's less than 1 hour long, and it's very helpful, very, comprehensive, but very short and crisp for you to get your bearing. The Udemy courses are a great way to get into the 1 million by 1 million curriculum and learning methodology. We have a lot of courses and a lot of case studies on Udemy right now. There are over 50 courses. So take a look and see what you want to focus on and start learning. And these are very, very inexpensively priced courses. 1Mby1M Basic is the full 1 million by 1 million curriculum for $99 a month. Everything you want is available for a very, very reasonable price point. So go look at the website for what to expect from Basic, what to expect from Premium, videos, video FAQs. The curriculum is described in a lot of detail, and you have access to it both from Basic and Premium. It is a case study-based program. 1 million by 1 million, you as a young first-time entrepreneur get to stand on the shoulder of people who have built enormously successful companies. We have hundreds of unicorn case studies. We have many hundred venture-funded case studies and many, many hundred bootstrap case studies. And people are very generous in explaining to you how they have succeeded. And that's how you learn. You find kind of blueprints to do what other people have done before, how to use that in your journey. That is how we teach. That is how I think people learn the best. And I think most of the world's MBA programs have come to the conclusion that case studies are the best way to teach. Now, 1 million by 1 million happens to have focused very, very categorically on the very early stage of business building. So no one, nowhere in the world has the level of insight and case studies into early stage venture building, and especially using bootstrapping techniques. So that's what we have built this whole program on. Investor introductions, there are specific policies. You can take a look at it on the website. Our methodology is do not go to investors as beggars, go as kings. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. And the mantra is bootstrap first, raise money later. There is a Udemy course on bootstrap first, raise money later, and the module in the premium and basic curriculum as well. That is all. This is, as I said, the last free roundtable for this year. But in January, we are here every week, and you can come back and, talk to me, start building on your ideas, your business, etc. We are now ready for further Q&A. So Tarek, you're welcome to ask more questions. Anybody else who wants to ask questions is very welcome. And by the way, your computer audio is going to work as well. You can turn on through WebEx audio on the computer. Irina Patterson is your contact after this call to talk to if you have questions about the program. So Tarek, you're welcome to talk to Irina as well if you have any further questions on the program. Let me see, there are some comments here in the public chat. Tarek says, I did the assessment, I think I need to redo it, yeah? You can do it as many times as you want. 100% approve that, very cool courses, good. I'm glad you like them. You know, our mission is to democratize entrepreneurship education, incubation, and acceleration. So we have, you know, constantly strived to make things available at very, very affordable price point and globally available. And I think this move we've made with Udemy is a big move in that direction. The courses, if you wait for Udemy promotions, as it is, the courses are inexpensively priced between $40 to $100. But if you wait for Udemy promotions, each course you can get them for like 10, 15 bucks. I mean, we couldn't do better than that in terms of affordability, right? And there's also a bunch of free stuff, free case studies that we have given on Udemy, so you can use those as well. So use the material, build yourself up from a knowledge point of view, and then, you know, you can build successful businesses. Every single case study tells the story of an entrepreneur who has built from nothing to something very significant. So if other people have done it, you can do it as well. Anybody else? Any other questions, folks? Questions, comments? No? Stephen, what are some suggestions for reaching a target market consisting of mobile Android users who are 20 to 55 years old and have debt? That's you know, there are some certain obvious ones. One of them is content marketing. What kind of articles would these people read? So you could start publishing articles on these topics and let Google find you. You could do Google search engine optimization. You could do Google search engine marketing. And you could also do Facebook marketing. The age targeting is completely doable on Facebook, right? Facebook gives you very, very sophisticated age targeting capabilities, and then you have to experiment with what else. Would they allow you to target on mobile Android users? I'm not sure what their targeting capabilities are, but it's possible that they do. Have debt? I don't know. That depends on, you have to think through who is likely to have debt. You know, if you're talking about student debt, for instance, you could target university students, you know, or fresh graduates and so forth. So you have to think through what kind of debt are we talking about, what kind of, but those are some beginning ideas. Anything else? You're welcome. All right, folks, it looks like there aren't any more questions. I think I've picked up whatever was there. Happy holidays. Have a wonderful time recharging your batteries and enjoy time with friends, family, and be safe. The pandemic is rising again, which is very unfortunate, but this is the second winter that is going to be a pandemic winter, and it's, you know, we all have to remain safe. So good luck, and I will see you in January. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming.